Speaking of attacks on Kamala Harris, the conservatives are not doing a very good job here. They don't seem to be coming up with anything that's actually sticking. Say they tried a couple of different things against Tim Walz, and they tried calling her a chameleon. Those are words that came from Donald Trump when he said, oh, she was Indian and now she's black or whatever like that. They tried doing that, like incredibly racist attack. That didn't fucking work. That didn't reverberate with people. Just today I saw something where apparently they were trying to compare Kamala Harris with Foghorn Leghorn. This is Benny Johnson. Let's turn on our laptop. Benny Johnson is a pretty despicable Republican slime bag, wannabe, like, pundit journalist asshole. He has decided to get snarky and tweeted this. I regret to inform you that Kamala Harris has turned into Foghorn Leghorn. Watch. This is 17 seconds long, so we can watch it. What the fuck is this guy talking about?
You better thank a union member for the 5-day work week. You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time. You better thank a union member.
So, why did he just say that she sounds like Foghorn Leghorn? I honestly don't get this one. I don't get this one. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, because she kind of said it with a little bit of a southern twang, a little bit. I mean, so what? She's not trying to pretend that she's from, like, Louisiana or some shit. Or Tennessee, or wherever the fuck Foghorn Leghorn is coming from. And honestly, if that's like a really pathetic Foghorn Leghorn impersonation. I mean, it didn't really sound like him at all. But apparently the Republicans and conservatives are trying to make this a thing. This is from Cindy Collin. I don't understand how do the people whose accent she's trying to appropriate not find this insulting. Or is this an imitation of the highest form of flattery type of thing? Excuse me, you cannot appropriate a southern accent when you live in the United States. Because that's American, that accent. I am American. I can speak however the fuck I want as an American. If I wanted to, I could speak in a southern accent. I could speak in a northeastern accent. I could speak with a Creole accent. That's not fucking cultural appropriation. Get the fuck out of my face. That's the dumbest fucking... We're all part of the same culture. I mean, these are subcultures of American culture. But how the fuck is that appropriation? It just doesn't fucking work when that's the dominant culture that we all subsist under. It doesn't make any sense to me. But this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to say that, oh, she's appropriating a southern accent. Yeah, okay. Doesn't really fucking work. Next person, someone named Bakerman. AOC had the same voice and acting coach. Whenever they come into contact or talk to actual working people, they put on this cartoon chicken voice. I say, boy. Best think a union worker, I say, boy. Hashtag Foghorn Leghorn. She didn't say that at all. She did not say anything like, I say, boy, or anything like that. At all. You know, here's the thing about the right wing and conservatives, and specifically like the sort of edgy part of the right wing, is that they can be hilarious at times. There's no denying that. The right, the edgy right winger 4chan types, those guys can be funny as hell. And they do it in such a way most of the time where it's like racist and shit like that. But it's still fucking funny. They're funny and imaginative sometimes. Some of that shit is like really genius. And it's just sad because they fucking, it's like, dude, can't these guys use their powers for good instead of evil? This ain't it. This ain't it. This is not, calling her Foghorn Leghorn is not, this is not edgy. It's not funny. It's not something that's captivating. By this time tomorrow, this shit will be forgotten. And that's okay. You could always just go back to the greatest hits and just call Kamala Harris a commie. For example, Camunism. That's a hashtag that actually has taken off. I'm not exactly sure who came up with it. I think it's this guy, James Lindsay. I don't know if he actually came up with it or not. Camunism. okay. I mean, that is a little bit more catchy, I'll admit. It's still bullshit for anybody with a brain. Kamala Harris is the farthest thing from a fucking commie that you could possibly think of. She's not a communist in any way whatsoever. She's a corporatist. She's very much even to the right of Obama on a lot of things. Kamala Harris does not believe in anywhere close to communism, and even on some social issues, she's actually kind of, like I said, to the right. Like, for example, marijuana legalization. As far as I know, she is not very much a supporter of marijuana legalization. I mean, she was an attorney general, for fuck's sake. She put people in jail for marijuana possession. So, yeah. Communism, for fuck's sake? It's bullshit. It's because they don't really have any kind of actual critique on her policies, because conservatives and Republicans don't have policies, so they have to make shit up. Here's another one here for you. I have been reading about Governor Tin Walls and see why VP Kamala Harris, the way they spelled that is fucked up, chose him. He is an anti-American, just like her. The policies he passes in Minnesota are shocking. Did I read that wrong? The policies he has passes. That's what he wrote. Read up independence and see what this child perv really stands for. Communism is not welcome in America. And the graphic from Donald Trump, you see that this guy is reposting Donald Trump. Kamala Harris pledged free healthcare for illegals. They're coming to collect. I personally think that would be a great thing. First off, Kamala Harris has not pledged free healthcare for illegals. That's not a thing. That's not a thing that any politician on either side has proposed. But if she did, that would be awesome. You know why? Because people should not be allowed to just die if they don't have money in this country. If you don't have money, that should not be a death sentence. That should not mean that you get no health care. Every other civilized country on Earth has figured out the universal healthcare thing except for us. Why? Because our country, our elites in our country, do not give a shit about us. They don't give a fuck if we live or die. They don't care if we're well off or if we're poor or if our children are educated or if they have food to eat. They don't give a fuck about us at all. See, at least in some of the other countries, Canada, England, France, Japan, they give a tiny little bit of a shit about their people. At least enough to keep like hordes and hordes of poor, destitute people from dying in the streets. They at least give them health care. They at least give them a little bit of food. They give them some semblance of welfare. They give them education. We don't give a fuck about anybody at all. You're on your fucking own in the United States, and that's the way it's going to stay as long as we have the bullshit system that we have that relies on electing people from the fucking corporate party to be our leaders every fucking year. But, that's a subject for a different video. Just please remember that Donald Trump, right, because he's posting this shit, Donald Trump doesn't have any fucking answers either. If he had an answer, if Donald Trump had an answer or a policy or anything like that, he would talk about his policy, but he doesn't have any policies. He doesn't have any answers. He is just bullshitting himself and bullshitting his fans and is trying to bullshit his way back into the presidency so that he doesn't have to go to fucking jail. That's what his whole thing is all about. Another one. She's so fake, all they do is lie. The Three Red Banners was an ideological slogan in the late 1950s which called on the Chinese people to build a socialist state. The Three Red Banners, also called the Three Red Flags, consisted of the General Line for Socialist Construction, the Great Leap Forward, and the People's Communities. And oh look, there just happen to be three red lines and all of these different things. Does that have anything to do whatsoever with the Three Red Banners? No, it does not. It does not. What does it have to do with? The American flag. Red, white, blue. Red, white, blue. Red, white, blue. Red, white, blue. Okay? That's what this has to do with. None of this has anything to do with communism or the Three Red Banners or whatever other stupid fucking shit you want to come up with. It's just dumb. conservatives eat this shit up because they're fucking morons. Here's another one that flew around. Donald Trump himself actually retweeted this. Communism. Like it's Kamala Harris in front of a whole room full of AI-generated commies or whatever, with a huge communist Chinese flag or whatnot in the background. It's like, okay. You notice how none of the Trump people ever talk about any policies that Donald Trump has, anything like that? No, they all just repost stupid shit like this. Here's another one. Oh, this is an Etsy shirt called Communism. Kamala Harris wearing a clown wig. What does being a clown have to do with communism? Absolutely fucking nothing. Makes no sense whatsoever. Here's a new one. This is from somebody named Culture War 2020. And an undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. Believe them when they tell you who they are. And this is Kamala Harris saying that an undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. We can actually listen to this. It's 51
Then an
seconds long.
undocumented immigrant is a criminal. Being an undocumented immigrant is not a crime.
I know what a crime looks like. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
So on and so forth. She is correct. The status of being undocumented is not a crime. You do not go to jail for being an undocumented immigrant. That is not a crime. It's like a status. Like you don't go to prison for being an undocumented immigrant, right? That's not true. You get deported for that. See, it's different. It's not an actual crime, and that's why these people don't get arrested. Like, if they get caught by ICE or whatever, they don't go to jail. What happens if you're an undocumented migrant? You don't go to prison if they catch you. You get a hearing, and the hearing is to see if, hey, are you in the country legally or not? Because it's not a crime. You haven't broken any laws. It's not a felony. It's not a misdemeanor. Nothing like that, all right? It's like an immigration status. And when you go to it and they determine whether you belong here or not, because maybe you do. Maybe they got the wrong person. Maybe you actually do have legal residency. Maybe you have a green card. Maybe you're an actual citizen and they just picked up the wrong guy. Doesn't matter. You get your hearing. And then at that hearing, you get to prove whether or not you have the right to stay in this country. And if you don't, then you get deported. That's how the law actually works. That's why we don't throw people who cross the border illegally into jail. That's why it's such a big fucking deal to hold these people in camps with barbed wire fences like they're prisoners. They're not supposed to be fucking prisoners. That's not what the law says. Conservatives and Republicans and shit don't understand that. They think it's a crime. It's not a fucking crime. One more that I thought was actually kind of telling here. Kamala Harris. This is from I Love American News. Never forget, Kamala Harris took a knee for George Floyd, but couldn't even be bothered to show up today to honor the 13 fallen heroes that lost their life in Afghanistan. Since she refuses to give her words unscripted, one must trust her actions. Perhaps they do speak louder than words. First off, I'm glad that she kneeled for George Floyd, because George Floyd was a victim who was murdered. And a jury agrees with me there. So if you don't like it, tough shit for you. You're wrong. Secondly, what are they referring to when she didn't show up for the 13 fallen heroes or whatever? They're referring to that little debacle that the Trump people pulled at Arlington National Cemetery the other day, where they showed up and had a campaign event there. What did they do? They went there with some of the family members who supposedly the family members invited them, which is fine. But they decided to take a bunch of pictures and make a fucking commercial that Donald Trump put on Twitter. And that is against the law. You're not supposed to do that. And one of the people at Arlington National Cemetery tried to stop them, and the Trump campaign staffers got physical with her, pushed her out of the way, stuff like that, started calling her names. And the only reason that this hasn't broken up and people haven't been arrested and all of that shit is because this worker is with the army at the Arlington National Cemetery. Remember, they're members of the armed forces, right? This person, this army person who was a caretaker at the cemetery, decided not to press charges because they were afraid of the media attention that it would bring. And they were afraid for their life and their family. They didn't want to get on the wrong side of the Trump train and have all Donald Trump's followers doxing them and harassing their families and giving them death threats and shit like that. That's why. So that's why Donald Trump got away with it. That's why there's not going to be any charges filed. They fucking broke the law. They deserve to be held accountable for it, and they won't be because they bullied their way in. And now this poster here, this Professor Nez guy, is trying to use that in order to, I guess, put Kamala Harris down or whatever. She wasn't there. Do you see how manufactured this shit is? See how sad and pathetic and manufactured this shit is? It's just pathetic. Of course, if being a communist isn't good enough for you, you can also just say that she is Satan. This is from a campaign video that the Trump people started. It starts at 1:18. I'll put the link down in the thing. But let's go ahead and watch this.
Lines on a map. Those invisible lines are the equivalent of having walls and doors in your home. Without them, anyone could just walk right in, eat your food, rearrange your furniture, even walk off with your stuff. Imagine the chaos. Your privacy is invaded. Your belongings are up for grabs, and your entire sense of security is out the window.
I like how all of this shit is
borders define where our home ends and the next begins, ensuring that we can maintain.
If you look a little close, it's all fucked up, you know.
In order, manage our resources, and protect our culture. They tell others that here we do things our way. Without borders, we'd be in a world of...
Like, if you look really closely at all this, like, see how their fingers are all jacked up? Like, look at his fingers. His fingers are all fucked up. It's the scourge of AI imagery. Why do conservatives love AI so much? I think, you know why? Because it's free, number one. Or not free, but, you know, extremely cheap, so they don't have to actually pay anybody. Because the Trump people, especially conservatives and especially the Trump people, hate actually paying for, like, services and stuff. And secondly, because the right wing is filled with a bunch of no-talent losers. That's why. They couldn't actually hire any fucking artists to put their shit together for them, because all the artists are voting for Kamala Harris.
Chaos, where nobody's safe to simply live in peace. They're the rules of the game. The boundaries that allow us to coexist without turning the whole world into a free-for-all, where might makes right, and the only rule is finders keepers.
This one really pissed me off. Just look at all these wacky fucking fingers. Like, does anybody hold anything like this? Like, with your pinky way out like that? No. I mean, come on, do it again. Okay? If you're gonna, like, do this AI shit, then at least get a clip that looks halfway fucking decent. And if it spits out some ugly-ass piece of shit thing with fingers going in every fucking direction, do it again. This one doesn't even have enough fingers. There's only 4 on this one. Like, what the fuck? In fact, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna increase the speed. You know why? Because fuck it. That's why.
Now ask yourself, why exactly would anyone want to open the borders that protect our very way of life? Who exactly would want millions of...
It's Kamala Harris. She's got a big sickle on her back there. Obviously, she's a commie. Moving on.
Exactly would want millions and millions of strangers who don't speak our language or share our values, wandering our homeland. The answer is those who seek to
Those who seek to destroy us. Satan. There you go, folks. If calling her a cartoon chicken isn't good enough, if calling her a communist ain't good enough, you could just call her Satan. Satan himself is controlling Kamala Harris. This is actually an ad from the Donald Trump people. Fucked up AI imagery and everything. And calling Kamala Harris Satan. Is it taking off? Well, kinda, sort of. Here's one that I found from Twitter. Another AI image. Kamala Harris is much worse than you portray. Hashtag Kamala Satan. More AI generated bullshit. Here's another one from Melody Loves MJ77. I would not give a damn penny. Trump 24 America First. Is that who I support? He loves America. Kamala loves Satan. Another tweet that I found from John Wick. Mohammed finds Trump both too honest and too modest. Kamala is obviously an agent of Satan, but being female lacks native intelligence. Go incels. I guess Donald Trump is wrapping up that incel vote. Another one. Karma Kamala, trailing Donald Trump, aka Satan's lieutenant. I would really help to be privy to such obvious alternate or rather parallel universe. The fuck? Let's read that one more time. It would really help to be privy to such obvious alternate or rather parallel universe. What the fuck does that even mean? Nonetheless, in the current millennium in Earth's galaxy, the Milky Way, we honor our Madam President-elect Kamala 2024. Well, at least this guy seems to understand that she's gonna win. At least I hope so. I don't know. I mean, this tweet doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but then again, they are crazy conservative people. Steve Kruve, host of the Regular Man podcast. Yes, I'm certainly not saying Trump is the perfect candidate, far from it, but Kamala bathes in baby blood and is the spawn of Satan himself. So many Christians have no answer past pointing out Trump's flaws. Their answer seems to be you can't vote for an imperfect, sinful man, which simply means you can't vote for anyone, thus fail in your civic duty to vote for the most godly representative. It's not a very thoughtful position, in my opinion. The most godly representative. Donald Trump is the most godly representative, and Kamala Harris bathes in the blood of infants. Donald Trump, the most godly representative. Donald Trump, who has been married 3 times and has, how many children does he have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from 3 different women. Who has been proven by a court of law to have sexually assaulted E. Jean Carroll. So much so that he actually got busted defaming her and has to pay her how many millions of dollars? 90 some odd $1 million or whatever. That's your godly representative on earth. The guy who makes fun of disabled people, the guy who his entire reason for running is to keep himself out of jail, and then also so that he can take revenge on his political enemies. I mean, that's the guy that you want. That's your representative of God on earth. Donald Trump, are you fucking serious? If I wanted to list every sin Donald Trump has committed that we know of, this video would be another hour long. That's the guy. Donald Trump, the man who repeatedly rips people off. The man who lies about every fucking thing there is. That's God's representative on earth. And Kamala Harris bathes in the blood of infants because she wants to allow you to plan your family. Make it make sense for me. This reminds me a lot of back when they tried to claim that Obama was the Antichrist. Do you guys remember that? Way back during the first, when Obama was running against John McCain. This was a campaign commercial. Let's go ahead and run this. They were trying to play upon the imagery of their Judeo-Christian voters into asserting that Obama may have more to him than meets the eye.
That in 2008 the world will be blessed. They will call him the One.
A nation healed, a world repaired. We are the ones we've been waiting for.
And he has anointed himself, ready to carry the burden of the one. To quote Barack, I have become a symbol of America, returning to our best traditions. He can do no wrong.
Do you have any doubts?
Never. Can you see the light?
A light will shine down from somewhere. It will light upon you. You will experience an epiphany. And you.
Now remember, this was from the McCain campaign. They put this out. See, this sounds like a very positive thing. This came from the McCain campaign.
will say to yourself, I have to vote for Barack.
And the world shall receive his blessings.
This was the moment when the rise of the oceans began to slow and our planet began to heal.
Behold his mighty hand.
Barack Obama may be the one, but is he ready to lead?
Paid for by John McCain. He may be the one. You hear that? He may be the one. They were essentially playing off of conservative Christians, evangelical Christians, and biblical end-time prophecy to allude that Barack Obama was the Antichrist. See, every time they got to up it a little bit more. Obama was the Antichrist, so they can't go that route anymore. No, the Antichrist already came. Kamala Harris now has to be Satan himself. Or Satan herself, I guess. I don't know. Does Satan even have a gender? I don't know. They're really grasping at straws here, folks. They don't have shit. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. Because like I said earlier in the stream here, most of the time, the right wing is very good at this kind of thing. They're very good at messaging. And they're very good at coming up with the snarky, edgy name-calling and stuff like that. They're very good with framing an opponent in a very embarrassing way. And this time, they don't have shit. Nothing is sticking. They're jumping all over the place. They're calling her a communist. She's nothing to fucking do with communists. It's ridiculous. They're calling her Satan, for fuck's sake. It's like, what's next? I guess they're going to call her Hitler next? I mean, what's left for them to run to? If you're voting against Satan himself, it's like, they really don't have shit. And it's because the reason why they don't have anything is because the Republicans do not have any policies. They don't have any policies worth a damn. All they have are weird, vague promises from Donald Trump that he doesn't elaborate on, and stupid fucking ideas like, hey, we're going to put tariffs on everything, shit like that, that if they try to talk about it, they're going to get laughed off of the news. So they don't actually talk about these dumb fucking policies. They don't have anything. The real pathetic thing is now they can't even seemingly attack right. It's truly pathetic. I'm kind of happy to see it. Don't get me wrong. I'm very happy to see it. I'm glad to see a Republican campaign and a Republican Party in general in this much disarray. I think this is the first time it's ever really happened in my lifetime where the Republicans didn't have messaging and they didn't have an attack vector and they didn't have anything that's sticking. They're not controlling the narrative. That's like, I think Kamala's going to win. I think she won the minute that the Republicans lost the narrative and have not been able to get it back. I think that's when she won. I don't know. She could still lose. Don't get me wrong. She could still lose. Okay. After 2016, it's like you learn not to count them chickens before they hatch or whatever. If I was a betting man, where do you go to bet on presidential elections anyway? Maybe I'll go put a couple $100 down on Kamala Harris. I mean, fuck it. Might as well make a little bit of money while we're at it, right? Anyway, I think that's all we got, folks. Everybody stay cool, stay safe, and I will see you all later. Adios.
Hello folks, if you like what I do and you want to support the channel, please consider buying something from my Etsy shop, supporting me on Patreon, liking and subscribing, and checking me out across my social media links listed below. Thank you all so much, and see you next time.